Okay, let me find my agenda. There we go. Good evening. I'd like to call the Town of Rome Board meeting to order for Thursday, June 5th at 5 p.m. Number 2, roll call starting from my left.
Evenson here.
Giardino here.
Asdell here.
Samuel stood here.
Reppin here.
Thank you. Number 3, certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, June 5th was posted at the Rome Town Hall at 1:30 p.m., posted at Quick Trip LLC, 1:50 p.m., Nakusa Port Edward State Bank, 1:55 p.m., and emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 1:25 p.m.
Thank you. Number 5, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll approve the agenda with the postponement of items 26, 27, 28 to the June 19th agenda.
Right ones.
26, 27, and 28.
Correct.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 5, please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Citizen comments, we have one. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident not a member of the town board or on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversations with you but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak shall have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. We have one member.
Lori Giamatti.
Good evening, Lori Giamatti, 1647 Hornet Trail. What is the status of the hiring a full-time administrator? Is there a timeline? The previous board was chastised for not hiring one, although there has been one in place. Your board is nearly at its 60-day mark with only a blip of a discussion regarding this on one agenda out of 7 meetings you've had to date. Four of you up there ran for this as being a very critical matter and your #1 priority. Clearly, that doesn't appear to be the case. So I would ask again, if you could fill in the people, what is the status of hiring a full-time administrator? Is there a timeline? And what is your plan? We'd really like to know. Thank you.
You want me to answer that, Carl?
No, we can't discuss.
Can't discuss.
There's no
Okay.
discussion.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
No action contemplated except possible referral to future items, information, updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements.
I have, for information,
Go ahead.
when we last met, we were talking about the issue about the cell phone towers, and of course, we had a holiday weekend, and again, it caused a lot of problems with people losing their cell phone. And one suggestion was to pass it on to the Utilities Committee, because at one point, I think Verizon came out here and they wanted to put a tower in here, but they had a problem with the size of the fence that they wanted to put around their tower. So I like to kind of see if we can get that to the utilities and get this moving, because again, people, if it's all over social media, they lost all kinds of servers, everything.
Finance Director, Water Utility Person, Robbie Schaub-Rumler couldn't be here tonight. She had something to take care of. But I do know that she has already put it on the next agenda.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
for that
For utilities.
Utilities Committee.
Oh, good. That's what I was looking for, make sure that gets on there. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing for me.
No. Just a couple things. We're handing out to the folks in the town of Rome for, not the folks out here, it's the town and the town people, about a tour at Sand Valley, so we're going to get that out to everybody, get a copy out so you can see the dates they're offering, and they like to show us what's going on there. We haven't been, some of us haven't been there for a while, including myself. The other thing is I want to let everybody know the Apache and 13 redo is going to be taking place. We have a conference call coming up shortly. This is something Bob Ness and I contacted the DOT back in 2022. They told us it would probably get done in 2025. Well, not, but I think they're looking at 2027 to redo the intersection there. They're not going to lower the speed limit, but they are going to put a passing lane in, so there's less likelihood of accidents because it is a blind spot. They did come out and do a test, and they agreed that it is a dangerous intersection, so that's going to be happening. So. Discuss and possible action on the following items. 8, discussion and possible action, approval of the May 15th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to make the approval.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 9, discussion and possible action, Clifton Larson Allen LLP, presentation of the town's 2024 audit. Howdy.
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, is the green light on?
I think it is. Is it? Okay. Yeah. That works. Otherwise, just let me know and I'll speak a little louder, or try to at least. So I'm here tonight to go over the 2024 financial statements. I'm just going to go over select pages. I'm not going to go through everything because obviously it's, 70-some pages long, and there's lots of details in here. Not necessarily everything that really reflected 2024 activity. So if we go just past the table of contents in the document, this is our audit opinion letter, so the culmination of all of our testing. So what we do is we usually come in December to talk with various town personnel to understand what went on in 2024. Was there debt? Was there capital projects? Was it a quiet year where nothing changed? Was there lots of personnel turnover? Did you change software? All kinds of questions. Plus, we also do ask certain cybersecurity questions and different things like that. How's your software working? All those kind of things. And then we come in February, when everything from year end has been wrapped up, and we do our testing. We do our testing based on a risk-based approach. Based on those conversations we had in December and reading minutes and just our overall understanding of what's going on with Wisconsin municipalities, we design our tests. And so we might test 25 receipts in this particular area, we might test 4 receipts in this particular area, or certain things for expenses as well. We obviously spend a lot of time on your capital assets and different things, because obviously that's a significant part of what you do. But then from there, we take all the results of those tests and determine what our audit opinion is. And in our opinion, the financial statements for 2024 that are in this document, our audit opinion is that they present fairly the financial position of the town. In layman's terms, this is what's called a clean opinion. You don't want to ever see something that says modified or adverse or anything like that. So as long as there's no paragraphs that say basis for adverse opinion, you're sitting good. Basically what that overall also means is that we didn't find anything materially incorrect that we just couldn't overcome and not get to that clean audit opinion. This is what this town strives for every year, and again, that's what's laid out, and it's the most important part of this independent auditor's report, so that is why it's on the first page in the first section. Any questions on that, or just some general questions on our audit approach? The rest of that letter goes through various different things that we're required to tell you about how we approach things and what we do, and go from there. So, and if there was something more significant in there, there would also be other paragraphs. For example, if you had to change in accounting rules that significantly changed something, there'd be a paragraph in there explaining it. And so that's where that letter helps identify what might be important going forward into the rest of this report. Moving then to financial data, we're going to look at your balance sheet for the year. So this is page 9. It says balance sheet for governmental funds. So this is going to be all your funds except for the water utility. And I'm going to focus mainly on the general fund. So that's going to be that middle column there. You had total assets of $7.8 million at 12/31/24. The majority of that is cash and investments and taxes receivable, because obviously you levy for those taxes in November, and then it gets recorded as a receivable, and you've collected some of those taxes in December, so that's where your balances end up sitting fairly significant at the end of the year. You had total liabilities of just about $400,000, $330,000 of that was payables. So those were items that you got the invoice in January or February, but it was for services that were rendered to the village in December or prior to that. Then your deferred inflows of resources. The largest one you'll see there is property taxes levied for subsequent year of $3.9 million. So again, this is that levy that the board approved in November, but statutory you can't collect it and it doesn't become your revenue until January. So now in 2025, that $3.9 million will move out of this deferred inflow category into revenues. The net difference of all of that is your fund balance. And there's multiple categories of fund balance. Non-spendable fund balance of $30,000 there, that's prepaid items. So that's if you prepaid for property insurance. Let's say you paid your January premium in December. That's gonna go in that line. If you had some prepaid supplies, that's gonna go in that line. It's basically non-spendable because it's up the door basically already. The restricted category, this comes into play when a third party tells you how you can spend the revenues that had come in. So sometimes this is state statute, sometimes this is because of bonds. The majority of your amount here, of your $530,000, is tied for your debt issuance. When you have unspent proceeds, like what you did in 2024, because you started the project but you didn't necessarily finish it all until 25, that net balance that's carried over that you borrowed for, that's shown in that restricted category. Also, sometimes when you issue debt, there's something called premium. And the way the resolution works is they want you to use that premium to help pay the interest payments in the next year, or the coming interest payments. That's also shown in that restricted line. And those two amounts together are about probably $450,000 for that grand total. There's a few other smaller things in there, but whenever it's in that restricted category, that means a third party said, you can only use it for X or Y. The committed line, $347,000, these are the individual carryovers that the board has approved over time for various expenses or various projects. So like the parks, Derek Hughes falls under there, or maybe library and cemetery fall under there. So 347, that's then you can use that now for expenses in 2025 and beyond. The assigned fund balance, this is a little more tentative. We'll go with that. When you are doing your budget in November, sometimes you know you have to use fund balance to budget the balance, to balance your budget. When you do that, that amount gets shown in this line as assigned, because it might be used for roads, it might be used for parks, it might be used for conservation and development. There's really no set specific expenditure it's gonna be used for, you just knew you needed it to balance the budget. The net difference is your unassigned fund balance. The unassigned fund balance at 12/31/24 was just under $2.1 million. This amount is the amount that isn't set aside for anything. This is your cash flow amount. This is what you can use if all of a sudden something came up today that you didn't budget for, that you can cover your expenses with. The town has set a policy that they want that amount to be 17% of current year budgeted expenditures. This amount is actually 20% of budgeted expenditures for 2024. So you're meeting your policy requirements. It's actually 26% of actual expenditures, because obviously sometimes your expenditures fluctuate compared to what you thought you're budgeting for. From an industry perspective, we usually recommend somewhere between 15 and 25%. So your policy's right where you need to be, and your actual amount is right where you need to be. Any questions on the general fund?
I noticed, we were talking about our oops, sorry. We're at seven million, but you said it has to be 17% of the budgeted amount. Back in 2022, our budget was a little over $6 million. Last year it was 13 million. That means we had to up extra cash by that amount, even though it wasn't technically necessary.
That's where that borrowing of the.
I know where it came from, but that also it makes us carry extra cash that we typically wouldn't normally have.
Well, that's where the unspent proceeds come in
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to have that fluctuation, but that's where the 5 year, like, what we always like to see is the 5-year plan. What are you know, yes, you might have a year where you have to be heavy in your budgeted expenditures, but because again, sometimes that's just when the biggest road hits or whatever you need to do it.
Sure.
But what's in that 5-year plan? And then if you have to dip down below that 17%, what's your plan to get it back up? And those are the things to look for in monitors. Obviously, this is just one point year in time, and same with 2022 or 2023, those are all just point in times for where you're calculating these numbers, but it's looking at the trend. Are you constantly starting to fall and your percentage of budgeted expenditures keeps dropping? Or, did you have one dip one year just because of a timing thing, but now it's back up because you were able to recover it? So it's taking that a little bit more of a long-range look to see where your fund balance is, because we all know there can be a heavy year with snow and ice and you can eat through your public works budget without it doing anything. But then some years then we don't have much snow and that budget doesn't get used at all. So to me, that's where you step back and look a little bit, yes, this is 1 year, but look at where you're trending and what your next 5-year plan is for how are your expenses gonna increase, or are they gonna stay flat, or are you just gonna continue borrowing for the streets or the road projects, or what's putting it all together?
Okay.
Just briefly, I do want to point out the TIF fund in the middle there. $2 million in assets, the majority in the taxes receivable that's coming through now for 25. Ending fund balance was $157,000 to be used to pay the debt that the TIF still owes. And obviously that fluctuates a little bit because you're still paying back on that loan to the developer. But when you get that 1.3 is net of what was collected so far in December. So your total revenues or your total taxes now in 2025 are $1.9 million to help cover those debt payments. With that, then I want to just briefly touch on the income statement for your government funds. That's page 11. So on page 11, this shows your revenues and expenditures and then what we call other financing sources. So your total revenues for the general fund was $6.8 million. The majority was in your taxes, which also includes the room tax, not just your property tax, and then intergovernmental revenues, which obviously that's your state GTA money, your state shared revenues, and any other grants that you might have gotten during 2024. Your total expenditures were just about $7.8 million. You had $2.4 million in capital outlay, obviously a lot of road projects and a lot of other projects that fell in that line this year. You had long-term debt issuance of $2.2 million to kind of offset some of that capital outlay. And then there's that premium I talked about there down in the bottom 2/3 there, where as a result of that debt issuance, you had $245,000 of premium that's coming in to then help offset debt interest payments for the next year or so. The transfers in, that's the payment in lieu of taxes from the water utility of that $90,000. The transfer out is transferring the money to debt service fund to cover the debt payments for that year. It's just a mechanism to show that's what that fund needed to cover the payments. So your fund balance did increase $1 million, but again, some of that is carried forward in that restricted fund balance that will decrease once you spend the rest of the money on the projects and spend down that premium. Any questions on those revenues and expenditures? If not, then I'll briefly want to touch on the water utility. You go to page 16. So the water utility is accounted for slightly differently than all the rest of the funds that we just talked about. The water utility is accounted for more in what's called full accrual, so more like a normal business that you run your own, where you're accruing revenue when you billed for it and expenses when you got it, where on the other governmental funds, you don't quite record revenue that way. So your operating revenues were just about $1 million this year. Total operating expenses were $670,000, leading you to have an operating income of $361,000. Your non-operating revenues, this is where your interest payments on your debt get shown. That's the largest amount there. So that was a decrease of $32,000. There was some capital contributions from residents that connected up through services of just about $11,000. Overall, your net position in your water utility grew by $250,000. So ending net position for the water utility is about $5 million. $3.8 million of that is tied up in your capital assets. So your treatment plant, the water mains, the tower, all of that is the capital assets of the water utility. And so that takes up a big chunk of your water utility net position. Overall, the rate of return for the PSC, per the PSC's rules of how they calculate it, it went up in 2024 up to 6.8%. In 2023, it was 5.2%. That does fluctuate. If I remember correctly, 2023 had some extra tower painting costs that kind of helped dip that rate of return down. Any questions on the water utility?
Yeah, we can't capitalize the paint job, right? That's an expense.
Yeah, that's an expense. And that happens every X number of years, so That's the year when your rate of return dips.
Yep.
If there's no other financial questions, I do want to just briefly cover the couple findings that we had as part of our audit. Those start on page 70. They're the same findings I've talked about in the past, but I do want to just briefly go over them. Finding 2024-001, segregation of duties. This finding happens because there's limited number of people in your finance area that you can't have, break it apart, so there's adequate, what we call segregation of duties on that transaction. You never want one person handling the transaction from start to finish. And I know the town has put in various reviews and everything in there to try and offset that risk, but in a small place where you only have 2 to 3 people handling all that stuff, it's really hard to get rid of this finding. But where it becomes important, what becomes important is the board's review of the financial records that are presented to you at the monthly meetings, or just asking questions as you're going along. And our recommendation is just always be aware of that, and where you do see the opportunity to split it apart, consider it. Every once in a while, what we say is, maybe this year you look at payroll. Is there a way you could, break it apart any further? And maybe you can't. Sometimes the software limits you on that, because they give you, payroll, you might have rights to everything, and they can't just break it down to, well, this person can add a new employee, but this person can change rates. Sometimes the software doesn't allow that. But you don't have to look at every single area every year. It's just as things change, as software changes, take a look at the various areas and see if there's ways you can add additional layers of review. Any questions on that finding? Then the second finding is preparation of annual financial report. So the majority of this document, the majority of these 70 pages is actually the responsibility of management to prepare. But for cost benefit purposes, the municipality contracts with us to prepare it. You're not alone. Most municipalities do contract with their auditors to prepare it. But because we're not always in the day-to-day and we're not seeing everything, it's still better if management could prepare it. So there's that risk that something could be missed. There could be a footnote that didn't get updated because you changed a couple things in your vacation policy, for example, or something like that just doesn't get updated. And so that's where your review of this document, and I know Wendy and Robbie look at the report before it gets final bound and printed and everything. But that's where it becomes important. Just, again, continue that review and ask questions if something just doesn't make sense to you on these reports. The last finding we have is adjustments to the town's financial records. So when we come in, we get a trial balance from the system, and we start doing our testing. We compare it to source documents and various other resources, sometimes state websites, various different things like that. And sometimes we have to make audit entries that significantly change what you might have seen on your preliminary December reports that you received. And at the end of the audit, we compile all those audit entries together and we look at them and take a qualitative and quantitative look at those entries and say, did we significantly change it enough that we should point this out as part of a finding, and just make some recommendations about what the town could do to eliminate some of these findings so that when you get reports in December, they're a little closer to what you see today when I'm presenting. And so this year we made a couple of significant entries with debt and taxes and just a few other things along those lines. So that's what triggered this finding. What we recommend is, take a look at those entries that we made, ask us questions. We can help you set up different ways to maybe make some of them going forward, or we just continue where it's at. We have a mix of municipalities where sometimes we have this finding, sometimes we don't have this finding. It depends, and every year's activity is different. And so then that changes the dynamics of those entries and what this finding shows as well. Any questions on the findings?
Anybody out in the audience have any questions? Board?
And with that, do you guys have any other questions for me?
None I can think of. See you next year.
Sounds good. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your help.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the audit?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Number 10, discussion and possible action, approval of the cost of assessor reviewing and reassessing town of Rome properties at his discretion. I do have a notice here from our assessor He did state that it would cost about $10,000 to review properties at their discretion. Hopefully, that would save us about, not necessarily save us, but change some of the $200,000 burden to the taxpayers back on where the properties are where they actually belong. So, and then if it's proper, it might push the TIF ahead a year. That's possible, and that'd be an additional savings to the town of a large sum of money. So I think we ought to go ahead with it and just have them do it, and that's part of the reason we deferred the board of review. So
Make a motion to approve the cost of the assessor reviewing and reassessing town of Rome properties at his discretion.
I'll second that.
any discussion? And just a heads up, he did say that we're probably going to need a reassessment in 2027. We're already behind, so it's going to happen. So, any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 11, discussion of possible action, electronic neighborhood watch program.
I have some comments to make about that. This was something that I've been trying to implement, and I want to make myself clear when I defined it last time. Basically, defining it as those that have outside surveillance cameras. What it is the database. If something should happen, the police can come to your door and say, "Can we look and see what happened?" But interesting enough, there is a program that the county has. It's called Capture. Community and police team up to record evidence. And when I discovered that, Jason decided to put that on the website. But I think just putting things on the website is not going to be the answer. To be effective, you have to reach out to everybody who wants to be part of it. And having a population of 60 years older, the average age, trying to navigate through something, if you're like me, you depend on your grandkids to help you with the computer. So I would like to sit back and get this out to the people and say, hey, it's a win-win for everybody because first of all, for the police department, it saves a lot of legwork to do investigations. If something should happen on your street, they could put it on the computer and say, hey, we got 3 homes out here that have a surveillance camera. They're not being like Big Brother watching you. They're going to ask you, can we see something happened? So what I like to see is, aside from putting on the website, is maybe send a letter to all the homes, there's 1,700 homes, and the businesses explaining it and see if they'll participate, because it is a program, and the program does no good if people don't know anything about it. So I think trying to get people involved. And so Jason's not here, for medical leave, but, if you want to maybe come up with something like a letter to the citizens and,
Sure.
I mean,
And there's no cost to this, right?
no, I mean, this is all, Adams County has this going on.
Postage.
Letter, okay, mail.
I mean, a letter, if Jason could write something up explaining the program and say, here's what you need to do to get involved. If he can walk you step by step on the computer into the website.
Website, Channel 300, yep.
Oh, yeah, or Channel 300, that's another way. I mean, to reach out to the people is the name of the game here to make this successful. So that's what I would like to ask. We have it, let's use it. I mean, I could reach out to Jason when he gets back and ask him to write up a letter and we'll send it out.
Okay.
Okay?
You think, we don't need a motion on this, we just move it? Good. All right, we will move forward with that. Number 12, discussion of possible action, referral of comprehensive plans to the Community Development Authority and other entities. This is due, I don't know the date for sure, I believe it's May of 2026. So we have to start getting this thing rolling. I think we ought to include the Plan Commission and then other interested parties and can we get the old comprehensive plan out so we've got a starting point? Yeah. And get those to the two committees. Again, I don't think we need action on this. We have to do it. Any questions on that?
Plan Commission and CDA.
Yeah. And anybody else that's interested, we're looking for input. Number 13, discussion of possible action, consideration of a site plan of operation for Golden Ferret Golf Sims to lease space from Heartland Custom Homes owned by Matt Elmhorst for the property located at 1144 County Road D, also described as Lot 1 of CSM 6905, located in the southwest 1/4, northeast 1/4, Section 8, Town North, Range 06 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-00637-0020. Do you have any information on that? Are they here?
I do not believe
Okay.
anybody is here now.
You want to make a motion on that? It was all in the packet.
Pardon me?
Were you at the plan commission?
No, I was not.
Were you in the plan commission?
Yeah, this is right across the street from the police station there. It's going to be a virtual golf course. The only, there was two things that the owner, because they're leasing the property.
Right.
About paving the driveway, the parking lot. I believe that had to be done prior to moving in. And signage, they had to come back about the sign.
Have
They're
they
gonna
done
put-
that yet?
Pardon me?
Have they done that yet?
No, they presented this to us the last meeting, and the conditions were, again, with the paving the parking lot, that was something that had, I believe had to be done. And then, again, the signage.
Okay.
They have to know how big the sign is going to be if they're going to put on 13.
Okay, well, they haven't met conditions, so we'll table this for the next meeting. Number 14, discussion of possible action, consideration of the site plan of operation for REM LLC owned by Ruth, Mantronack,
Antronack.
for the property located at 232 14th Avenue, also described as Lot 1 of CSM 6265, located in the southwest 1/4, northwest 1/4, Section 07, Town 20, Range 06, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-00623-0035. Parties here?
This was also brought before the planning commission. It's a storage unit that they're going to put up there on 14th Avenue up there north of Alpine.
All conditions met?
There was really no conditions placed on
Okay.
so we approved it.
Okay. All the information was in the packet. Notice the site plan was fine. There were setbacks were fine. Anything else? Any other questions? Entertain motion here? Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the site plan of operation for REM LLC as long as they get the approvals as what MSA has asked on there. The zoning approvals, the lighting, and should we consider a dumpster enclosure as they recommend?
Is that required in this site?
Come up and speak? Oh, 'cause you're part of it, right?
Oh, is that required for this commercial
Yeah,
property?
it's just a recommendation from the MSA, so I wasn't sure.
Recommendations, not a
We didn't
requirement.
hear, that wasn't brought up on the planning commission.
Oh,
The only, I'm not, I'd have to look back about the lighting, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken, but nothing about the dumpster.
I didn't see anything in the
yeah, I'm just
packet
reading.
about it.
Yeah, it's just in the packet, that's what I'm reading.
Really?
The recommendations under MSA's memo?
I don't think I have that one.
They recommend approval of the cup with the following conditions.
Were you aware of those?
What are the conditions?
An enclosure for the dumpster?
I drove over and have. We don't need it, but,
You don't need a dumpster?
yeah, we aren't planning on having a dumpster.
Okay. Yeah, storage unit, so,
It's a storage unit.
yeah.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, we'd have had like 2 parking spaces and just 1 employee. Okay, I got you.
You get a motion?
Cheryl made the motion.
Yeah, I made the motion.
Oh.
As
we're all
as
set.
long as they've met all the conditions. We're
Okay.
good.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Can
What?
somebody second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, sorry about that. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. You're good to go. Discussion and possible update from Sue Giardino on the status of the military banners. I gave your name. You want to give address, please?
1513 Sumac Trail.
Is the microphone on?
And you said the name right, so that was great.
Should have a green light.
It is now.
Now, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Good evening. I wanted to give just a quick update on the progress that's being made regarding the relaunch of the military honor walk banners for the military. So we're working with the printer who has been generous enough to offer to print the banners for those who decide to purchase them at his cost, which is great. I gave him a sample of one of the banners that I have. He's going to mirror that banner so that the new banners will be close or identical to the existing banners. For those who have existing banners and they would like to donate them back, they can. There will be no charge for them to do anything because we're not printing a new banner. However, when I send the communication out, which I'll talk about in just a moment, we are going to offer up that those who have existing banners, if they would like to make a donation, which we will be donating this year to the American Legion Ryan Larson Post 65 Auxiliary. So the American Legion Auxiliary this year. So if they wanted to make a donation, they could. Otherwise, there will be no cost to those who have existing banners if they'd like to donate them back. And I'll explain all of that when I send the communication out. So regarding the communication, I'm shooting for June 18th to get that initial communication sent out to the community, and I will be sending it via a number of different social media platforms so that we can reach as many in the community as we can. I will be working with the American Legion Auxiliary. They have social media platforms as well, and I'll work with them to post it there so that we can get it to as many people as we can in the community. I think once I send it out on June 18th, I'm over the course of those next 3 weeks, and I decided to make it a 3-week time period for those to complete the application, which is going to be on the printer's website, by the way, make their payment, send their photo in. Because the July 4th holiday is in there, I wanted to give them an additional cushion for people that may be out of town. So we'll run the application period from June 18th to July 7th. I will do updates throughout that time, just sending out reminders to make sure that they go and take care of this if they want to purchase a banner. Based on what the count is, how much interest there is. If it seems like we're not getting a lot of people to respond, I may even bump it out another week or two. We'll see what we do. But I feel really confident that we're going to get a lot of people to respond. So we'll give them till July 7th or so on. The printer will not need that much time because he'll have everything ready to go. So once he gets the photos and all of the information that he needs and the payment, and Wendy, I'm going to regroup with you next week privately and we'll talk about that. Once he gets all of that, we'll be able to get them done pretty quickly. So by the end of July, the banners should be finished. So we can target mid to late August to get the banners displayed, and we can run them through that time period through Veterans Day in November. And then I think next year, we'll of course start the process earlier in the year, and then we can run the display period from Memorial Day to Veterans Day so that it's in conjunction with military-focused holidays. Now, the charge. Because the printer is allowing us to purchase the banners at his cost, we're only going to charge $100 for the banner. So that will cover the cost of the printer, and then we will be able to make a donation to the American Legion Auxiliary. So I think it's great. We're able to lower the cost just a little bit, and it's because the printer is kind enough to provide it at his cost. So that's my update for now. What questions might you have for me? Otherwise, I think like end of July, I'll come back at that last meeting in July, the last town board meeting scheduled, and I'll give you an update because we'll know at that point how many banners were purchased and how many are going to be displayed. But any questions?
When you reach out to the people, we're going to use social media. What about the town website? And
Can we do that, Wendy? Okay, that was one of the things I wanted to talk with you
okay,
about.
yeah, because
Okay, all right, great. So we'll
can
we'll
talk
speak
about it
next week.
next
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll hit, because for those who may not use Facebook or anything else, I mean, everybody can access the town website, or they should be. So, I know. So, okay, great. I was going to ask you about that as well privately. Other questions?
Sue, will we be able to see what the design on the flags, banners will be?
You sure can. So as soon as I get that prototype or the template from the printer, I'll share it with all of you.
Okay.
Did we discuss earlier about having that part of the town duties to just hang these banners at no charge? We did,
Yeah,
didn't we?
yes, we did at the last meeting, yeah.
Good, thanks.
Anything else?
Sue?
Yes?
I also mentioned that, I don't know if you can have something made up, but maybe.
Oh, yeah, Don, you want to come up to the microphone, please? Name and address?
Donna Hasdo, 241 Penhurst Way. I'm just going to recommend that maybe you could make something up, since the flags are going to be flown at the Rome Town Center there, maybe some kind of, something up there to remind people, when there's concerts and everything else going on, something that would encourage people, you could have your, veteran flag here.
Yeah, we could do that. Oh, and Donna just reminded me of something too. One of the other things that I'm going to do, once we have all of the banners in place, is, Wendy, I'll probably need to work with you on this, although you did give me a map of where the lamp posts are in the Rome Town Center. So what I'd like to do, in lieu of providing a little booklet that some of the other towns do, because there's additional cost for that, maybe we can do that in the future. But for this time, I would like to create a document that will show where each of the military members' banner is hung in the Rome Town Center, because it looks like the posts are kind of numbered, Wendy, based on the map you gave me. So, okay, quasi-numbered. But we'll put something together so that the family members or anybody that's visiting can look and see, this is where so-and-so's banner is. So we'll put that on a map, and we'll have the military member's name, and then where their particular banner is hung. And then again, I'd like to look next year, maybe doing something a bit more formal as it relates to some sort of a booklet, which some of the other communities do around us. But, in the interest of time, we won't do that this year, but next year we can look at that.
Sue, who's going to decide on where whose banner goes where?
Well, that's a really great question. So I don't know that anybody's going to, like, the family members will get a say-so on where they want their banner to be. But Supervisor Giardino did have, I just happened to be speaking to him one day. And and he did have a suggestion, and we'll have to give some thought to this. Do we organize the banners perhaps by the conflict that the military member served in, and then Alpha Order within conflict? Or do we just do Alpha Order around the town center? I'm not sure, but that's a great question. It's one of the to-dos. Wendy?
Draw from a hat.
Or draw from a hat. Is that how you did it the last time? Okay. All right. So but we can think about that. That's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up, because it is on my list of things to give some thought to. Other questions?
I did notice in the budget, there's a number in there for painting of the posts.
Yeah.
Do we ensure that's going to be done? Okay.
Is that happening this year? Is it going to be, how is that going to,
I will check with.
okay. All right.
We'll push for it to get it done.
Okay.
Yes, we'll make sure it gets some.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we've got flexibility. If it happens, if we put the banners up in September, then we do it in September. I just want them to be hung for a period of time leading up to Veterans Day, since we have a shortened time right now. Okay.
Okay.
I
Very
think
good.
that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. You good? You gotta wait? Yeah, I can go ahead, right? Number 16, discussion of possible action, update on the status of the police department obtaining EpiPens for the squad cars. If you've missed it, we already had a little ceremony outside with I'll let Vito.
She's
Vito, you
still
go
there.
ahead.
Okay, well, we had a little public relations thing with the EpiPens, and to help Mark Mueller get the word out for the other, departments in the area. we had Representative Scott Krug here, who was pushing for a statewide legislation. But waiting for that, we're ahead of the curve. We're hoping other departments will jump on board step by step and follow suit. And that's what we did today. In fact, WSAW is here right now. Hi, Bree. How are you? We had the radio, we had the newspapers, and we're trying to get the word out. So we did something good, and we're going to be, a gemstone, and other people hopefully look at us and say, wow, we want to do that too.
I'd like to thank Sue and Vito for their efforts on this. It was, like I said before, it was a no-brainer. And it's just, hopefully other towns will react before they have a tragedy like this. So, any other comments? Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Number 17, discussion of possible action, approval of the resolution number 25, a resolution revising the Town of Rome fee schedule. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you, Bree.
Thank you. Carl,
Go ahead, McKinn.
I was looking at this fee schedule, and I'd like to postpone this or push it back to the next meeting
Okay,
for discussion.
okay. Any thoughts on what we should think about in the meantime?
Leave it as we got it for now, I guess.
Okay.
Thoughts, board?
What kind of a discussion do you want to do? Is there some changes you're looking for?
We've got three different entities. The library has a fee schedule, police department has a fee schedule, now the town has a fee schedule. Yeah. Pardon me?
Just it's always been
Anything
this
and
fee
everything
schedule.
here
It's
is,
just
I think
Everybody.
you're looking for consistency among the three
Yes.
departments.
Yes.
this one is here, the copy, yep, they're all different. Yeah. Do the library and stuff charge, or do they fall under different statutes than the town? And so we have to follow one statute, correct, versus theirs?
I believe so, yes.
I don't, you do for open records, you have to follow the statute. They
Right.
do too. That's all the same.
Okay.
But as far as charging fees for copies and things like that, I don't know if there's any regulation saying this is what you have to be. I don't know.
Okay.
But he's correct. We have different fee schedules for three different departments, and probably
Right,
should
I
be
just didn't know if the
consistent.
entities were,
We can ask Vinnie. That'd be
Yeah.
a question for Vinnie.
Okay.
So,
I'd
okay.
just like more time to look at the three different schedules.
all
Okay.
right.
Table it till the next meeting. Number 18, discussion and possible action, approval of ordinance number 25, amendment to chapter 234, licenses and permits, Article 1, alcohol beverages, section 234 to 230, four classes of licenses and fees. I guess that's it. Okay.
This just looked like there was just changing of the terminology of clerk and treasurer, correct?
Yes.
Well, and changing from administrator to approving it to clerk approving it.
Okay,
So it would be basically, police chief approves it, and then the clerk, the police chief recommends for approval or denial, then the clerk would either approve or deny. It is done that way in other municipalities. It was administrator, since we won't have one,
okay.
this allows me to approve them.
You got a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 25, amendment to chapter 234, license and permits, Article 1, alcoholic beverages.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 19, discussion of possible action, approval of the recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Committee to accept an extension offer from Visit Rome of $25,000 in annual contributions for the Town of Rome Park funding development from January 2026 to December 2030.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 20, discussion of possible action, request Plan Commission to review waiving or modifying building ordinance to allow lake management buildings access to the three lakes. Been in discussion with a couple different attorneys, and one of the things, again, when zoning was created for towns way back when, there was no consideration for lake management or other activities. It was mostly for aesthetics and other purposes to restrict flowage and contamination of the lake and for various other reasons. But it was funny because talking to the attorney, he came up with the same conclusion I've been saying is the zoning is outdated. And what we'd like to do is be able to not have these items under the zoning umbrella because they do have to be moved. They will be moved. They're not permanent. They're not mobile. And they can go from location to location on a regular basis. Just a heads up, we do have full approval from the county now to move forward with the whole program. That'll be finalized tomorrow, basically. And anyway, it'll just be a little easier for us then to let the Tri-Lakes or any other entity in the area to work on the lakes and make sure they're working for improvement. So that's the reasoning behind that. Again, this is just a request of the Plan Commission at this point. And the attorney is working on a document to explain it fully.
I make a motion to make a request to the Planning Commission to review the waiving or modifying the building ordinance.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 21, discussion of possible action, appointment of Bruce Huppner to the Plan Commission. He didn't show up. He wouldn't be here. He said he wouldn't make it, but
I'll make a motion to appoint Bruce Hepner to the Plan Commission.
I'll second that.
discussion? Just a heads up, he had a very good interview. He's got a very technical background, so that's going to be a nice addition to us, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action, appointment of David Janzik to the Board of Appeals.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of David Janzik to the Board of Appeals.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Not going too fast for you, are you?
No, you're fine.
Discussion and possible action, restate Board of Appeals vetting process.
I have some comments about that.
Go ahead.
Not last meeting, but the meeting before, we had a citizen come up here and Glenn Murray having an issue. That he was turned down at the Planning Commission. And I asked him, I says, why didn't you go to the appeals board? And then I did a little bit of investigation and find out that we do have a policy and ordinance. If you want to go to the appeals board, go for it. But what was happening with the previous administration, they were trying to vet and screen people without even coming to the board on a written ordinance. They were doing it, I mean, the ordinance was never changed. And they were vetting people and screening them out. But we have it on record, they can go there on policy. So people they should know that.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that everybody understands if they are turned down at the Planning Commission, they have recourse at the Board of Appeals without restriction, so,
They don't have to get approval, go to the,
no.
They
that's
just
not-
pay a fee, whatever the
pay
fee
the
is.
fee and then goes to the Board of
And the
Appeals.
board, yay or nay?
Can that be stated somewhere on, or is it already in there on the, like on the zoning page that,
I mean, it's there, the policy, because
okay?
it's there. It's just, it so happened, they were vetting people.
Yeah, it was happening without authority technically, so people were being denied improperly. So we want to make sure it doesn't happen. We don't need approval on this, it's already policy. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that we're not going to put up with that nonsense.
So there's nothing we have to fix with the vetting?
No, it's
No.
already
Okay.
proper policy. Number 24, discussion of possible action, approval for the attorney to move forward representing the town of the solar farm. Last meeting, we approved the firm to represent us on the solar farm. He does need approval to let the solar farm and other parties, their attorneys and representatives, that he will be representing us. We know it's an uphill battle. We're thinking solar farm, not the solar farm, but the Wysocki situation up in Saratoga. They basically lost the battle, but they won the war. So it's not a matter of just given up altogether. We're not going to throw our hands up and just walk away. There are other things happening right now. News came out this morning that the Chinese are in fact putting items in the solar panels that are able to disrupt the whole system in the country. They can knock the system down somehow, or just have all sorts of effects, and that's just another issue. Another one I saw, I was dealing with one of the reporters the other day, and she said that she sent me the letter that they had received, and it said that one of the things that really stuck in my craw is, well, we believe there's no health concerns. Well, we believe? I mean, that's nuts. There's no proof, there's no backup on that. That doesn't convince me on anything, so. There are things we can do. We still have a comment period between now and tomorrow, basically. Get your comments in, and we'll let the attorney do his, hopefully, magic, and see if we can get this thing knocked off. So,
What's the next step for us on
it's
this
just
issue?
basically, we will vote to move forward with the attorney if the board wishes, to have him let everybody know he's representing us, and we are going to be contesting. So,
And also bear in mind, the representative, Scott Krug, he's in our corner with this on the state level.
I'll make a motion then to approve the attorney to move forward representing the town of Rome on the solar farm.
I'll second that.
any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Number 25, discussion of possible action, approval of temporary class, oh, we're doing this one. Class B beer and wine license for the Visit Rome's, I'm sorry?
With a change, I'll
Oh, go ahead, make the change. What's the change?
go ahead and finish it.
All right. Class B beer and wine license for the Visit Rome Summer Concert Series on June 13th, 2025, July 18th, 2025, and August 23rd, 2025, and the Gather by the Bandshell concerts on June 10th, 2025, July 8th, 2025, and August 12th, 2025, at the Bandshell in the Rome Town Center.
So when the motion is made, if you approve it, it would need to be for a Class B beer license for all of the events but the August 23rd, which would be a Class B beer and wine. I recently learned they can only have 2 wine licenses per year. So
Beer and wine on one.
beer and wine on one. There's going to be another one that's going to have a beer and wine, but it'll be brought to the next meeting.
Okay. You get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion then to approve temporary Class B beer license for the Visit Rome Summer Concert Series on June 13th, July 18th, Gathered by the Bandshell concerts June 10th, July 8th, and August 12th, and the beer and wine license on August 23rd, 2025.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we're on to 29. The board may go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. We'll be discussing police wages and contract negotiations, review zoning administrator applications. Can I get a roll call vote from my left?
Stevenson,
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
I'll make a
Good night.
motion that we go into closed session.
Second.
Roll call vote, starting from my right.
Stevenson, yes.
Yours left,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Keep going, that's all right.
wrong left.
other right.
Sorry,
Tardino,
just throw
yes.
it in there, Hasdall, yes.
Sam Stead, yes.
Reppin', yes.
Little levity. Okay, we are now in closed session.
Don't go any further, I need to message Jason. I can't get into this. I think you can get into this room, yes. Otherwise, we can go into Robbie's. So. Isn't there a Somebody just got in.